Hello, good morning students. It's our second lecture on arterial blood pressure. In our previous class, we studied learning objectives or competency under this topic. Then points what comes in this lecture, that is arterial blood pressure. These are the points. Then we also discuss this definition, normal values, types of blood pressure, physiological variation, causes of blood pressure, significance of blood pressure, and the functions of blood pressure. Then we entered in the regulation of blood pressure. We in previous class we discussed what is the role of nervous system in short-term regulation of blood pressure. Okay, how the sympathetic and in addition to that parasympathetic system rapidly it regulates the blood pressure. Then we also make out the list of various reflexes are working for the regulation of short-term regulation of blood pressure. In our previous class, we discussed first two reflexes, and today we have to continue from the third reflex. Okay, so we discuss baroreceptor mechanism, then how it works. Then we discuss chemoreceptor mechanism, how it works. Okay, and we'll continue with the third reflex. So these remaining reflexes are contributory. So in your answer mainly you have to write about baroreceptor first, very important, and then chemoreceptor. But other reflexes, just you mention or something you write how it contributes for the regulation of blood pressure. Okay, so here atrial and pulmonary atrial artery reflex, atrial and pulmonary artery reflex. Okay, second, next is also atrial reflex to kidney. So both the reflexes, the name is atria. So atria to the kidney. And what is this atria and pulmonary artery? So if you see atrial walls, the particularly right atrium, okay, there are the stress receptors present in walls of atria, and this stress receptor are also present in pulmonary artery. Okay, because they are also called the low pressure receptors. Here in these two areas, that is a artery, sorry, pulmonary artery, that is a blood from right ventricle is pumped into the pulmonary artery. Okay, so here pulmonary artery and the arterial walls, here the always pressure remain low. Okay, and they are, that's why they are called the low pressure receptors. There are the receptors, the wall is a receptors, they are again mechanoreceptors or stress receptors. Okay, here they get stimulated when there is increase in blood pressure due to the increase in blood volume. So any increase in blood volume that stimulate these receptors. So for example, when the blood volume in the body is increased, it leads into the increase in venous return. Okay, see the mechanism, increase blood volume, increase venous return. And if there is a more venous return, means there is more accumulation of the blood in the right atrium particularly, and that strains the wall of the right atrium. Okay, and which stimulate the these low pressure receptors, and their stimulation, then it sends the signals to the vasomotor center, and their signal, it causes the vasodilatation. Reflexly there is a vasodilatation, and it decreases the blood pressure, and that means it prevents the rise in blood pressure. So any increase in blood volume reflexly decrease the blood pressure, because the vasodilatation, it prevents the rise in blood pressure. So in this way it is working. Okay. Second, next reflex is atrial reflex to the kidney. So same signal, that is when there is increase in blood volume, that means there is increase in venous return, there is increase in pressure inside the right atrium, and that stretch the wall of the right atrium, and stretching of the right atrium which stimulate the low pressure receptors, and once this receptor gets stimulated, it causes two effects. See, it's very interesting. Small things are there, but it matters, and it helps to regulate the arterial pressure. So when increase venous return, more accumulation of the blood, stress the wall of artery, stimulate the receptor, send the signals to the vasomotor center and here to the nervous system, and it leads into the two effect. One effect is dilatation of afferent arterioles to the kidney, and simply if there is a dilatation of the afferent arterioles, that means blood supply to the kidney it increases, GFR of the kidney it increases, and increased GFR leads into the more loss of water and also sodium, that is loss of the fluid by the kidney. It comes the blood volume to the normal and helps to bring the blood pressure to the normal, or it prevents, simply we can say that it prevents the increase in blood pressure. Okay, this is a one way. Second way, the same signals which are going to the nervous system, it also goes to the hypothalamus, signals to the hypothalamus, it decreases ADS secretion, and hypothalamus plays the very important role, decreases the ADS secretion, and if the less ADS means there is decrease in retention of water by the kidney. ADS, it causes the retention of water and salt. If there is a less retention, that means there is more loss of fluid in the urine, and in this way it brings the blood volume to the normal and prevent the increase in blood pressure. That means bring the blood pressure to the normal, decreases blood pressure. So in this way these two reflexes are working to maintain the blood pressure. Their role is mainly to maintain the blood pressure. Okay, now the next fifth reflex, and this reflex is called, fifth reflex is called the Benbridge reflex. Students, you remember this reflex mainly working for the regulation of the heart rate. Its main role is in heart rate, but the heart rate, increase heart rate, decrease heart rate also matters on blood pressure level. That is, increase heart rate means increase cardiac output, and there is increase in blood pressure. So how this reflex it works? It is cardio acceleratory reflex. Okay, means uh, we'll go there mechanism के लिए. It increases heart rate when the arterial pressure is increased due to the increase in venous return. Okay, so students, this mechanism it starts from the increase in venous return, and that is how the Benbridge reflex it is working. How it works? Simply increase venous return, there is more accumulation of the blood in right atrium. So increase right atrial pressure, then it stimulates the afferents. There are the vagus nerves. This is a special vagus nerve in the right atrium, wall of the right atrium gets stimulated, and the stimulation of the vagus nerve arising from the wall of the right atria reflexly it causes the two effects. One is stimulation of the vasoconstrictor area, increase in sympathetic tone, increase in heart rate and the force of contraction, there is increase in blood pressure. Means whatever the blood is accumulated in the heart, by Benbridge reflex, the heart has to pump this blood into the circulation. Main purpose of this reflex is to increase the heart rate. And how it indirectly affects on blood pressure. We are studying that how it indirectly affects on blood pressure. Mainly whenever there is increase in venous return, you just look in this way, that it works for the regulation of the heart rate. So increase venous return, it increases heart rate, because heart has to pump the blood whatever accumulated in heart, and for to pump the blood there is increase in heart rate. Okay, and increase in cardiac output. If the cardiac output is increased, that means there, what is effects on blood pressure? There is increase in blood pressure. Okay, then inhibits the vagal tone. The same time, same signal, it inhibits the vagal tone, and there is increase in heart rate, increase in cardiac output, increase in blood pressure. So in this way blood pressure is increased. Then second effect that contributes the 15% increase in heart rate is a direct effect of accumulated blood in right atrium. So accumulated blood in right atrium, it stretches the pacemaker. Stretching of the pacemaker directly due to the increased venous return contributes 15% increase in heart rate. Okay, and that heart rate, if it is increased, that means ultimately there is increase in cardiac output, there is increase in blood pressure. So in this way it works. Okay, now we will continue last reflex, that is a CNS ischemic response. Students, this reflex is not normally working. Means in the normal regulation of the blood pressure, there is no role of this reflex. This reflex, it comes into the picture only during the emergency. Means emergency means when there is a sudden fall in blood pressure, and if this blood pressure it falls even below the 60 millimeter of the mercury, and this reflex it comes into the picture. Okay, so how it works, that's why it is also called the last ditch stand. So to save the person, save the life of the person, so it is a last ditch stand, it tries to save the life of the person when there is a sudden fall in blood pressure below the 60 millimeter of the mercury. Okay, when blood pressure it falls, how it works, it is not normal mechanism I told, it is an emergency reflex, and it does not work until the blood pressure it falls below the 60, and its greatest stimulation or the greatest degree of its work it occurs when the blood pressure it falls, mean blood pressure it falls up to the 15 to 20 millimeter of mercury. Okay. See the mechanism. When the blood pressure it falls, severe fall, dangerous fall below the normal. When it falls, that means there is decrease in blood. How it works mechanism? When fall is there, there is decrease in blood flow to the vasomotor center itself. Here the vasomotor center itself it gets suffered due to the less blood supply. And what will happen if there is a less blood supply to the vasomotor center? That means it creates the nutritional deficiency. Okay, that means there is a lack of oxygen and excess carbon dioxide in the vasomotor center, stimulate the vasomotor center massively, very powerful stimulation to the vasomotor centers. Okay, and if there is a very high stimulation to the vasomotor center, that particularly vasoconstrictor area, it increases the sympathetic tone. High increase in sympathetic tone, it causes powerful vasoconstriction, and when the powerful vasoconstriction, the blood pressure it increases and it comes to the normal. Even the blood pressure it increase for this moment, blood pressure can be increased more than the normal. Okay, so it helps to bring the blood pressure to the normal. Okay, but one more thing I want to tell you students, that this reflex is most of the time it tries to bring the blood pressure to the normal, but the condition is very difficult, or in this condition it is very difficult to save the life of person, because person it enters into the progressive shock. You know, the irreversible shock, progressive shock, we'll discuss in applied part. Once the person enter into the progressive shock or irreversible shock, then even the blood pressure it comes to the normal. It is difficult to save the life of the person. Even the person is admitted in the hospital. Okay, but we are studying this reflex because it is there. Okay, and in this way it helps to bring the blood pressure to the normal. So up to this point, students, we discuss the short-term regulation of the blood pressure, and here the different reflexes are working to maintain the blood pressure or to bring the blood pressure to the normal. Now coming to the long-term regulation of blood pressure. See here, after, you know, first part in short-term regulation, that is regulation of the blood pressure in second to second, within second, or within 2-3 seconds the blood pressure it is adjusted to the normal. But after few minutes or after few days, if the blood pressure remain high or low, then there is a, after few hours we can say that, after few minutes we can say that, then there is a role of kidney in regulation of blood pressure, and that is called the long term of regulation of the blood pressure. So kidney plays an important role in long term regulation of arterial blood pressure, and here kidney regulates arterial blood pressure in two ways. There are two different ways are there. First is by regulation of extracellular fluid volume, that is a water level in the body, blood volume in the body, and ultimately we use the word extracellular blood volume. This is one thing. Second, kidney regulate the blood pressure by second mechanism. It is through the renin angiotensin system or renin angiotensin mechanism. Okay, now see the first mechanism how it works. It works very simply. When the water level in the body it increases, that is when there is an increase in extracellular fluid volume, that leads into the increase in blood volume, and when the blood volume is increased, then it increases the blood pressure. If the blood pressure is increased, what will happen? Kidneys simply excrete more amount of the water and salt. Okay, you know, we just discussed that increase blood pressure means increase the blood flow to the kidney. There is increase in GFR, glomerular filtration rate it increases, and there is more excretion of water and salt. The purpose is to bring the blood pressure to the normal. So increase blood pressure, there increase in water excretion, that is called the pressure diuresis. Pressure increase the water excretion, that is called the pressure diuresis. Diuresis means increase the formation of urine, that means loss of water in the urine. And second, increased blood pressure, there is increase in sodium excretion also, and that is called the pressure natriuresis. So two processes are there: pressure diuresis, pressure natriuresis. Okay, loss of sodium ions, loss of water. So in this way, by increasing loss of water and salt, blood volume it comes to the normal, and that extracellular fluid comes to the normal, and in this way blood volume also it comes to the normal, and here it tries to bring the blood pressure to the normal. So in this diagram you can easily understand what is the effect of arterial pressure on the urine output. Okay, so you know the normal arterial pressure, that is a mean arterial pressure is 100. When the arterial pressure is 100, then we can say that there is a urine output is 1. There is a normal urine output. So any increase in blood pressure, how many times there is increase in urine output? Simply we can say that when the blood pressure, mean blood pressure is increased to the 120, then urine output it becomes twice, double. Okay, so urine output it increases 2 times. Then when the blood pressure it increases up to the 140, is the mean blood pressure 140, then urine output increases 3 times. So in this way, there is a loss of water and salt. It increases when for every 20 millimeter of increase in mean blood pressure. Okay, so this is how the blood pressure it affects on urine output. Okay, now we enter coming to the next mechanism, that is kidney. It plays the important role in renin angiotensin mechanism. Students, in if you read the books, and it is mentioned that the renin angiotensin system, it is in between short term regulation and long term regulation, because it doesn't come in long term, because within few minutes it starts, within minutes it starts its working, few minutes or 1 or 2 minutes we can say that. But the mechanism before we discuss, that takes hours together. Okay, here it is also in, it is in between short term and long term. The renin angiotensin system constantly it is working there. And sometimes there is a short note to describe the renin angiotensin system in the regulation of blood pressure. Okay, how it works. Okay, now see students, here it is a powerful mechanism for controlling the blood pressure. It works very powerfully. Okay, and it comes into the picture when there is a decrease in blood pressure. That means when there is a decrease in blood flow to the kidney. So how it works, see the mechanism. So here it is a powerful mechanism for controlling the blood pressure when the blood pressure is decreased. And the blood flow when the blood pressure is decreased, that means blood flow to the kidney decreases. Okay, and it may be caused, so when there is a decrease in blood pressure, if you go to the clinical condition, so when there is a decrease in blood pressure, when there is a loss of sodium and water as a result of diarrhea, vomiting, etc. So some conditions are there, when the conditions, clinical condition, when there is a diarrhea, vomiting, hemorrhage, the loss of blood, loss of water. Okay, that time there is decrease in blood volume, extracellular fluid volume. It leads into the decrease in blood volume. It leads into the decrease in blood supply to the kidney. And when the blood, ultimately when the blood supply to the kidney is decreased, this mechanism gets stimulated. Okay, now imagine the blood supply to the kidney is decreased. That means when the blood supply to the juxtagranular apparatus is decreased, it leads into the release or the secretion of renin. Renin is secreted, and it is secreted into the blood. Okay, so renin, it acts as a enzyme, and when the renin gets secreted, when there is decrease in blood supply to the kidney, now it is released in the blood and it circulates in the all over the body. Okay, when it is entered in the blood, this renin, it converts the already present substance in the plasma is called the renin substrate. Okay, renin substrate is already there in the blood, and once the renin is released from the kidney, it converts this renin substrate into the angiotensin 1. Okay, and you know the angiotensin 1 is formed. Okay, and it circulates in the blood. Now this angiotensin 1 is not powerful vasoconstrictor, so it acts on the blood vessel. It causes the vasoconstriction, but it is not powerful vasoconstrictor substance. At this moment, angiotensin 1 is formed. This angiotensin 1 is get converted into the angiotensin 2. And what is the site? The site is capillaries of the lung. You know, students, it is very interesting mechanism. If you see the capillaries of the lung, there is one enzyme, and that enzyme is called the converting enzyme. That is called the angiotensin converting enzyme. What is name of that enzyme? This is an angiotensin converting enzyme. Okay, and once the blood it passes through the, you know, angiotensin one is formed, it circulates all over the body. It also passes through the lung capillaries, and once it comes into the lung capillaries, it is converted into the angiotensin 2. And how it is converted? In the capillaries, in the lung, there is a converting enzyme, and at this moment, students, angiotensin 2 is formed, and angiotensin 2 is a powerful vasoconstrictor substance. Once the angiotensin 2 is formed, it causes the vasoconstriction and it increases blood pressure. Okay, so what is a stimulus, students? Stimulus is decrease blood volume, decrease blood pressure, that is due to the loss of fluid, for example diarrhea and vomiting. Once the blood flow decreases to the kidney, it releases the renin. Renin it comes in the blood and converts renin substrate into the angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 in the blood, it comes into the lung. In lung capillaries, it is converted into the angiotensin 2, and this angiotensin 2 then circulates all over the body, and it acts on the blood vessel and causes vasoconstriction, that is leads into the increase in blood pressure. See, we have to discuss two mechanisms that how this angiotensin 2 it causes the vaso that it increases the blood pressure. Angiotensin 2 increases blood pressure. How? The two mechanisms are there. And what are these two mechanisms? One is just one mechanism we discussed, that is a vasoconstriction. It causes the vasoconstriction. Next mechanism, it acts directly on the kidney and it increases the renal retention of salt and water. And in this way, it increases the extracellular fluid volume. Main purpose is, you know, this reflex is started due to the loss of water, to bring the blood volume to the normal, to bring the water level to the normal. So here it acts on the kidney and it increases the directly this angiotensin 2 is it acts on the collecting duct of the kidney and increases retention of water and salt and increases blood pressure to the normal. In addition to that, this angiotensin 2 it also acts on the adrenal gland. You know, it circulates in the blood, it acts on the adrenal gland and secretes the aldosterone. Aldosterone it is secreted by the uh, adrenal gland, which in turn it comes in the blood and acts on the renal acts on the renal tubules and increases the retention of salt and water. Okay, so direct effect, and through the aldosterone also it increases the retention of water and salt, and in this way it brings the blood pressure to the normal. So like these different mechanisms are there, how renin angiotensin 2 it helps to bring the blood pressure normal. So first mechanism, renin angiotensin directly acts on the blood vessel, causes the vasoconstriction. Second mechanism, it acts on the collecting duct uh, in the renal tubules and increases retention. Third mechanism, it causes the formation of aldosterone, and in this way it increases the retention of water and salt. Okay, so this is the flow chart, same mechanism. You can, while writing the answer, you can write in your answer here how it works. Release the renin. Okay, release the renin substrate, formation of the angiotensin 1, the converting enzyme that in the lung converts it into the angiotensin 2, Angiotensin 2, it acts directly on the blood vessel, causes the vasoconstriction. It also acts on renal tubules and increases the retention of water and salt, and in this way it brings the blood pressure to the normal. So this is what we discuss, how the renin angiotensin system it works for the regulation of blood pressure. Okay, so students, up to this point we discuss the long-term regulation of the blood pressure. Students, will stop here, and next part, that is hypertension and hypotension, that is applied part, we'll discuss into the next class, that is a third class, third lecture on this arterial blood pressure. Okay.